A few weeks ago, I made a video on this channel about a new political party that was coming to the UK. They called it Your Party, and it was to be headed jointly by veteran Lefty Jeremy Corbyn and the rising star Zarah Sultana. Behind them were 4 Islamic MPs. Now, it was an interesting story, because within the first 24 hours, over 500,000 people registered their interest in that party. But just yesterday, everything exploded. There are allegations of over £1 million worth of fraud. Zarah Sultana is saying that the whole thing is just a sexist boys club and that she's been shut out. And generally, this is just some of the worst behaviour I have ever seen from elected representatives. Let's get into it. Yesterday, Zarah Sultana posted a link on her X profile, as well as pushing out an email to everyone who'd registered their interest in the party. Now, the link was to get people to sign up to the party properly, to pay and become real members and get this thing off the ground. The cost was £55 per year or £5 per month. And very quickly, Zarah had managed to acquire 20,000 members. Very impressive. But some people were a little bit skeptical. The link didn't come from the domain name of the main website, and they were kind of suspicious. Was this some kind of hack or some kind of fraud? They didn't really know what was going on. So Zarah took to X and dispelled those rumours. She said that they were just being created by the nasty far right. The link is perfectly safe and secure, and you should go and sign up now. Except the rumours weren't coming from the nasty far right. It was coming from Jeremy Corbyn, her own co-leader of the party. Clearly, at this point, everyone is just wondering, what the is going on? This whole thing is just really weird, isn't it? Jeremy Corbyn comes out and says, no, this is fraudulent, don't sign up to it. If you already have, cancel your direct debit. Meanwhile, Zarah Sultana comes out with a lengthy response saying that the whole thing is just a sexist boys club and she's been shut out. Now, I don't know which of those two stories is true, but what I will say is this. If Zarah is telling the truth and the whole thing is a sexist boys club, wow, shocker, who could have imagined? Why would you then create a link to try and get people to send you money if you've been shut out of the party? If it's not your party anymore, if your party is no longer your party, why are you trying to get people to send you £55? That is very, very odd behaviour. Even the Lefty guests on GB News are perplexed by what's happening here.
No, and do you know what? I'm not opposed to opposition. I think it's really healthy in a democracy. It's a shame that you're seeing these two talking about big personalities clashing heads. You've got arguably the future of the left, Zarah Sultana, and the leading figure of the left, and I say left, I mean quite far left, Jeremy Corbyn, seemingly just don't get on. And they're trying to lead a party together. The messaging is all over the place. She's now taking direct debits from people.
Now, there are so many questions that need to be answered here. It looks to me, from the outside, as though Zarah felt like she was being pushed out of the party by the other MPs, but then she decided she was going to do something a bit strange. She decided she was going to create her own membership link and pass it off as if that was the membership link to your party. Except we know that it wasn't. We know that the rest of the MPs didn't consent to this because when Jeremy Corbyn responded with a letter, all of the other MPs that are prospectively in your party put their names to that letter. So Zarah did this entirely by herself. She created this link, she then pushed it out to the people who'd registered their interest, she put it on her X page, and she collected the money, presumably into a bank account which she can access. And I don't understand any world in which that isn't just fraud by misrepresentation. She presented this link as though it was membership to your party, but nobody else in your party actually agreed to that. Nobody said she could do this. So I think that's fraudulent. And look, if I did that, I'm pretty sure the police would be at my door, I would be in handcuffs, taken away to a police interrogation centre, and ultimately I'm probably going to end up in prison. Let's be clear about this as well. The numbers aren't small. 20,000 people at £55 per head. Well, you can do the maths. That's over £1 million. She could have potentially £1.1 million sat in a bank account right now. For all I know, it's 25,000 or 30,000. Maybe it's 50,000 people who've signed up. God only knows. So I think she's probably going to lose her seat as an MP. I think the standards, the body that governs standards for MPs in Parliament is going to want to take a very close look at this because it's all very suspicious. Jeremy Corbyn, as soon as the link went live, left Your Party Limited on Companies House. He was like, I'm having nothing to do with this. I don't understand where that money's going and nobody consented to you doing it. So Zarah's basically screwed. And I guess the question is like, is she going to return the money? Has she just inadvertently, accidentally started a different political party? Like, what's going on here? It's completely insane. Even if she does return the money, she could be liable for some really hefty fines for doing this. Very, very irresponsible, very childish, and I'm not surprised Jeremy Corbyn wants nothing to do with it.
But all the 20,000 subscribers paid the full £55.
Yeah.
She's got £1.1 million in an account somewhere.
That's a lot of money. Yeah, phone Captain Tom's family, take some advice on where to spend.
They could be getting, the thing is, really, they could be fined up millions and millions of pounds. So it doesn't matter whether they've had 20,000 of them, but they could be fined millions and millions of pounds. So this is quite serious, and Jeremy Corbyn's now off of the party. He's no longer a man with a full control of the business.
But this is probably why he has very quickly pushed her to arm's length, so that with the Information's Commissioner, they can say this was not us, this was an individual who went rogue.
And she sort of blamed it on a sexist boys' club. What do you make of that?
It's very interesting, isn't it? I mean, that could well be true. And you look at the list of the MPs who signed that letter yesterday, the 5 of those men of a certain persuasion, she might be right.
Whilst this total shower of shit was taking place, the Green Party has actually capitalised. They've surged by thousands of members in the last 24 hours. And I can't say I'm all that surprised. I mean, a lot of people were probably sat on the fence and they were looking at these two parties and they were thinking, do I go with the Islamic Communist Alliance over here, or do I go with the Islamic Climate Alliance over here? Tough choice, guys. I don't know how to help you with that one. Clearly Zarah Sultana does, though, because she has imploded the Your Party leadership, and that's pushed a lot of people over to the Greens. They're now up to like 76,000 or something, so yeah, congratulations. 76,000 brain donors currently exist in the Green Party. Nice. Now, I'd be lying to you if I said I wasn't a little bit disappointed by this, because I was kind of hoping that Jeremy Corbyn would just about manage to pull the Islamic vote away from the Labour Party, because we all know that the Labour Party has been relying on Muslim votes in this country for quite some time now. If Jeremy Corbyn could pull them away from the Labour Party, and Labour knew that they no longer needed to appeal to that demographic, maybe they could start prioritising the working class and the English people again. Because let's face it, the Tories and Labour, they've completely discarded the working class of Britain. I saw a chart the other day, I'll find it and I'll put it in the video, that the only people who are primarily voting for the Labour Party now are people who went to private school. And that's not me criticising you if you went to private school, I really don't care, congratulations, good for you, but 97% of you are not the working class. That's just the honest truth, and we all know that. The people who are working class, they're all voting for reform. Okay, Labour has totally lost the working classes of this country. They've replaced them with radical, hardcore lefties and the Islamic vote, and a few sort of die-hard Labour voters. But the vast majority of the working class, they've gone. They know that Labour doesn't have their best interests at heart. And that's quite sad to see. Now, it's the same thing with the Tories. The Tories completely betrayed the working class. In fact, what you kind of saw in the 2019 election was that the working class left Labour and went to Boris Johnson, and then Boris Johnson completely betrayed them, so now they've gone to reform. The working class seem to be quite mobile. They are starting to become very politically engaged, for the first time in a long time, I would say, and they're looking at this and they're thinking, these politicians don't listen to me. The Tories don't listen to me. Labour don't listen to me. They pretend they do, they make all the right noises, but they don't actually do the right things. And they're hoping now that Nigel Farage will. Time will tell. I don't know if that's going to come true, but clearly the working class are on the move in a way that other sections of society just don't seem to be. Very, very fascinating stuff. Actually, I want to extend that point a little bit further, because it's not just that the Uni Party and the Lib Dems and all of these other parties aren't listening to the working classes. They listen to them and then they just actively ignore them. They treat you as though you're stupid, as though you couldn't possibly know what's best for the country, and so they're just going to override it. They call you names like far right and gammons and things like that, you know, just horrible, horrible terms. They think you're so stupid and they know what's best, so they're just going to crack on and do it anyway. That apparently is democracy in modern Britain. Fantastic, isn't it? Now, I think that's really, really shameful behaviour, but we've seen it time and time again. Let me give you the most obvious example, and I talk about this example a lot. People in Britain have voted for lower immigration in every election for the past 4 decades, but immigration just keeps going up. Why is that? We were polled in 1968, the Gallup poll, straight after Enoch Powell's famous speech. 83% of Britain at that time wanted lower or no immigration. 1968. 1968. The government knew, the state knew that people did not want immigration, but it just kept going and going and going. People gave Boris Johnson a massive majority, and what did he do? He just betrayed it. So here's the thing, they they know what you're saying and they know what you want, but they're actively choosing to ignore it because they think they know best. They think that Britain is just a sort of economic zone, an economic hub, and all that really matters is GDP, the numbers on the page in front of them. But to you, the working class man who can trace the last 8 generations of his family to the same goddamn town you live in right now, it's more than an economic zone, it's your home, it's your homeland. And they cannot possibly appreciate that for some completely inexplicable reason. Everything just comes down to the numbers. I think a lot of people in this country would be a hell of a lot happier if we were a bit poorer, but it was mostly just English people. I'm just going to say it, and I think everyone knows that that's true, okay? If you looked around at your society and everyone was just sort of the same as you, the same traditions and practices, I think if you go back to 1950 when everyone was a lot poorer, they were probably also generally a lot happier. Maybe I'm wrong. Someone can contradict me in the comments if they want. It's bad. Anyway, look, I'm going to leave it there because I have this terrible habit of ranting towards the end of videos. Please do leave a like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. Haven't shown you much of the dog in this video. She's there, she's having a good time. But yeah, I'll see you in a future video. Thanks for listening. Take care, have a good weekend.